Now, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world on HBO pay-per-view, ladies and gentlemen, from Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas, let's get ready to rumble!
Good morning, evening, and hello, Brad and James, and anybody else out there. I am the Chris who plays games, playing retro games every Monday at 9:15, whatever the fuck I feel like, every Friday at 9:15. Tonight we're going to be picking up on a game I played quite a while back, playing some Cities Skylines here. So we're going to be picking up on the city that we used the last time I played, here in Cruz, and yeah, so this is my final day working for YouTube. So I'm wearing my YouTube shirt. Any opinions that I express in this stream are my own and not those of my employer. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about my history in software development and how I have grown my ability to do things right up until I can't anymore. We'll be talking a little bit about my history working initially at a marketing firm, moving on to my time at a startup, and then at Nokia, and then talking at least a little bit about my time here at YouTube, which is coming to an end. And so I'm not going to ritually burn the shirt at midnight. I still like the shirt. But I don't want you to take away my shirt, and I can't like I don't know where you get these. Like, this was one that they gave out, and I haven't seen anyone else wearing one like it. We don't even have this logo anymore. This is old. It doesn't exist anymore. You can't get this shirt. It is a retro classic YouTube logo shirt, so I can't get rid of it. I'm gonna keep it, and we're gonna keep playing with it. But before we get into talking, we are gonna get into playing. Yeah, so unfortunately, burning things in the city kind of frowned upon, it turns out. So I don't know. All right. Oh, I have like a weird soap fragment on my hand. I'm gonna make my face a little bigger, because we all know that the most important thing in any stream is my face. Okay, so what we've got going on here is a whole city worth of stuff. So I built the city on rock and roll, and the last things that I remember doing in the city was that we kind of revamped this entryway and finally got rid of all the traffic. So there is a little line here, but mostly that just clears right through by making this an 8-lane highway going straight into the city. That comes underneath here and goes that way. We did build some, so this is where that road comes out there. We got this whole middle here that's kind of our convention center, our stadium, this ultra tall building, and Expo Center are all buildings that we got going on here. We do have a little bit of traffic concerns still going on this street here, but overall it's not too bad. Our garbage, our fire trucks, and everything else like that seem to be keeping up. So we do have some demand for residential, commercial, and industrial units. Our population is growing, and our next goal is going to become a colossal city at 42,000 people. So that is what we've got so far, and we are going to expand into that. So as I said, I'm Chris. I am a software developer. I have been for a number of years at this point. I mean, all of you know me, but, you know, for all the thousands watching around the world on HBO pay-per-view, from Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas, let's get ready to do some citying. So I think I'm actually just going to expand. Let's see, what do I want to do? I'm going to expand into this green area over here. I don't want to move too close to this water. I think that this is like, you know, you get too close to the garbage, you get too close to the water, people start getting sick. But I do have this whole area here that we're going to just line out. And we got about $4 million at this point. So I'm not too worried about cash. And we're going to do that. I don't think that there is Cities Skylines esports. I did actually talk to a friend of mine at one point, before I had ever played the game, about potentially doing a like a competitive thing where we would say, like, you know, a 48-hour competition, and you would try and, you know, build as much city as you could or something like that. So can we just like build through this? Because I could have bulldozed that automatically. Okay. So we'll go ahead and build out here. Run that right into there. There we go. You do not have bandwidth, Brad. Don't believe in it. It's lies. It's all lies. There is no bandwidth. Yeah, so I've been doing software development for a long time. I started out, and I was actually going to school for it. So I was at University of Illinois, and I was in their computer science program. I knew when I went to college, pretty much, like, I want to do computers, and pretty much nothing else. This road is like, I made this road crooked, which is going to fuck up everything here, but whatever, we're just going to roll with it. It's like got a little bit of an off by one situation going on here, but that's all right. It gives the city a little bit of character. And I am actually going to run a road right through the middle here as well, just because I worry about traffic. What do you mean space already occupied? Oh, this is like a hospital or something? No. What are we occupied by? Oh, I can't build a crossroads. That's right. So I have to build to the road and to the road, and then do this. Okay. Probably. That's probably actually how Neil and Tony Chang met. So I was at University of Illinois in 2002 and 2003. So that was when I was going to college. And so I was in the computer science program, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't really know what computer science was. Like, I think that, like, I had never SSH'd somewhere before I went to school. Like, I had done websites, like I'd written CSS and HTML. Well, I don't know if there's even CSS at the time, but I'd written HTML. I had done, all right, let's get some office buildings in here. In fact, we're just going to fill this whole little block with office buildings. This is going to be high-density commercial. And then we'll mix some low-density commercial in here. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I wanted to do computers. And I loved computers. I mean, I loved computers from the time that we got a computer at home when I was, you know, like 10 or 11. I was that was something that I enjoyed and knew I cared about, but I didn't really know what it meant to work in computers. My dad worked in computers. My dad was a, you know, he was someone who worked at Bell Labs. And so he worked at Bell Labs the entire time I was growing up. And so, like, what I knew about computers was, you know, like, I went to Bell Labs and I got to see people doing cool stuff with computers there, but I didn't really know what they were doing. I was just like, I want to do more of that. But yeah, so when I moved out when I went out for the summer to live with Jess, that was when, so I'd been in school for 2 years. I had gone through basically like a couple of like 200 level classes where I'd done, like database design and some other things like that. And in the meantime, I was actually working as a software developer, like an open source software developer on LiveJournal. So I was, you know, at the time, LiveJournal was the social network to be on. That was where all of my friends in college were on LiveJournal. We all used it all the time. And so that was the thing that I was using. And I got involved initially. The reason I got involved in LiveJournal initially actually was because my girlfriend was in the Harry Potter fandom, and the LiveJournal at the time required invite codes to join the website. And so all of these like teenage girls were like, "Oh, don't even bother." And if you did support, you could get extra invite codes. You got one when you joined the site, and you could get more if you did support and got support points. And all of these teenage girls told me, like, don't even bother trying. It's impossible to get support points. Like, they won't take it from anyone who doesn't already do it. And I was like, bullshit. Like, I can do better than that. So I started out just doing support. I started out by doing volunteer support for a website. Hello, Proto Sam. And so I started out doing support, and through that process, like, I got involved in helping users write like HTML customization hacks, VR styles, and like, you know, make my journal look pretty section. I later moved on to, and that was kind of my into looking at things from a little bit more of a development perspective in LiveJournal. And eventually I started working with the development stuff directly. So it was written in Perl. I learned how to check things out over CVS. I learned how to use the Goat hack, which was their development servers that they ran, because it turned out that that's gonna fix itself, right? Yeah, okay. Because it turned out that setting up like you know, a LiveJournal installation was really annoying. So they ran a single server where everyone could run their test instances on, and you could show things off in it. And it was really a good and welcome, you know, kind of development environment, except for Brad Fitz, who at the time was extremely busy and kind of a dick. It's actually kind of funny because just recently someone posted on Twitter and was talking about how, like, the Go community is absolutely great, even if you've never done any development before. Like, Brad Fitz helped me, like, clean up my patch and blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting here going, like, wow, that's really cool that he did that. But, man, it would have been cool if he'd done that, you know, back in 2003 when I was starting to get developed on software he worked on. But I think that's realistically just, like, as you age, you grow in a lot of things. And that's one of the things that, you know, Brad grew up and learned that helping support the developers work with you is good. And I don't give him enough credit. Like, he really, like, the development team, Jesse and Brad and Evan, were pretty helpful even to idiot developers like me who had absolutely no business writing code. I had no experience. I'd never done anything other than, like, modifying a few minor Perl scripts to, like, make a slightly different aim bot, which was like a AOL Instant Messenger bot. So I had no experience. I had no anything else like that. And I was like, I'm going to do this. All right, fine. So then I go to college. I go to college for a couple of years. I was working as a net tech, helping people, you know, plug in their Windows installations more better and other things like that. This music gets so loud, and I always forget that. All right, let's do that. And I went out to visit Jess for the summer. Hello, Jeff. And when I went out to visit Jess for the summer, I got a job. I got a job doing software development for a web development company that was, it was actually a marketing and design firm. And I was just planning to go out for the summer, but once oh, we're short on elementary schools. Let's build an elementary school. Just put that right here. It's going to be like a nice little part of town here. We're going to keep everyone happy. We will build a high school. We'll kind of just toss this right back here. University's good. We got too many of those already. We'll actually grab another high school and build it somewhere else in the town. Let's see. Go ahead and just toss one right in here. There's going to be a lot of people who live here, Brad. This whole area is going to be built up. We're going to put some parks in, and it's going to be the hoppin' part of town here real soon. That's what you're going to see. And of course, whenever there's rich people, you got to have, oh, that's not a tennis court. I thought that was a tennis court. I was going to say, wherever there's rich people, you got to have tennis courts. Oh, and botanical gardens, of course. Rich people love botanical gardens. All right. We'll get some rich people's botanical gardens and a bouncy house because that's what people love. See? Look at all that greens. Look at all those green things. I just built a bouncy house next to you. Why are you still red? Fix your shit. There you go. Much better. What are you complaining about? Not enough educated workers. Well, I just built another, like, high school, so hopefully you'll get some more educated workers soon. So great, when I moved out to live with Jess for the summer, I got a job at a marketing and design firm, and I kind of figured, like, why am I still working? Why would I go back to school at this point? Like, I have a job in tech. Like, I don't need the degree. Like, this will be fine. That's not a super smart position, but it's the one I took, and so there you go. Not enough workers. Well, I mean, there's not a lot of desire for residentials at the moment. Like, I've built this whole area out. The fact that they're not building anything is kind of their own fault. What do you want me to do here? Build a unique building? Statue of Wealth, I already built that. I don't really want a transport tower. Like, that doesn't seem like a good thing. A tax office? I mean, I feel like that's going to improve things, but we'll toss the tax office in anyway. I mean, you gotta have a tax office in your town, right? You can only build one tax office. It's a unique building. See, it's all crossed out. I could build a science center. Wow, that is giant. I could build it next to the big area full of solar panels, but I think they're super noisy, which is why that whole part of town is cranky. So I don't know exactly why solar panels like make a lot of noise, but I think that's something I figured out. You know, where's my... Yeah, I don't understand it either, but I'm pretty sure like let's see. That's outside connections, pollution, noise. See? Noise pollution. Like, I don't know why there is so much noise pollution coming from solar panels, so... Like, they don't seem super noisy when I click on them, but... Okay, multiple problems. I think they're being robbed, so let's go ahead and build a police station. So I decided to go ahead and not go back to school. I stayed in Manchester and I continued going to work and everything else like that out there rather than going back to school after the summer like I had initially planned. My parents have never forgiven me for this. They have always looked at this as a terrible thing. And that, you know, I am the son who dropped out of school rather than finishing like he should have, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, so be it. So I worked there for a year. I worked there for a year until Jess got into the Wellesley. So at that point, we moved down to Cambridge. And it was in Manchester. I tried reverse commuting for like a month, and I was like, "This sucks. Like, I'm not gonna do that." I guess I can speed things up. Let's make this go faster. All right, now we got some things coming up here. Look at all these little buildings coming in, all this money. Look at all these people. Look, my little population's growing. All right, that's good. And so yeah, I work for a marketing and web design firm. Really, so the company started as a print design company, and then they figured out that, you know, or a print shop. And the print shop, they figured out that people kept coming in and saying, like, I want an advertisement printed, but I don't know, like, what I want. And so then they built a marketing company to go along with it. And they said, well, if we're going to be a marketing company, like, people kept coming in and not having websites. So then they added web support, like, to the marketing company. But I worked there, and basically what I did was turn Photoshop documents and Word docs into websites. They gave me a Word doc and a Photoshop document and said, here, like, make a website out of it and make it work in IE, and, you know, that's pretty much all we care about because no one uses anything else. They'd be like, but what about Firefox? And they'd be like, no one has ever heard of Firefox. Actually, I'd say, but what about Mozilla? And they would say, like, nobody ever uses Mozilla. It does not matter. Like, just make it work in IE. That's what I told you to do. Why is this thing 3 pixels off in IE? But it was interesting because I actually learned a lot of interesting, like, that's the first time I worked professionally with other people. That's the first time I experienced, you know, meetings and progress reports. It's the first time I dealt with clients. It's the first time I did a lot of these things that, you know, you have to do in the business world. And I did it when I was only making $30,000 a year. So they didn't really have a whole lot of expectations for me. Yeah, I mean, so keep in mind this was 2003, so it has been a while, and it's a very different world these days. And so that job, I really was mostly just keeping my head down and trying to do my work. I was not trying to change things. We didn't even use, like, version control, and I didn't even really know why. Like, I sort of knew that we should, but I didn't really understand why. The funny thing is there was such a perfect example of why. So we hosted all of these clients' websites off of one server, basically. There's actually 2 servers that were high availability, but they had the same, like, data between them. And at some point someone, and the way that we rolled out changes to the Apache config is, like, you went into the Apache config and you changed it and you restarted Apache. And at some point someone, like, in their editor, like, lowercased all of the text in the Apache config. And because it wasn't in version control, there was, like, no undo. And so, like, usually, like, in Apache configs, it's not actually case sensitive, but, like, virtual host would usually be, like, capital V, capital H. and like it was not in our config, and I asked why is everything in this file lowercase, and they were like, oh yeah, back in, you know, a year and a half ago, someone's editor like lowercased all of the words in the file and we couldn't undo it, so we just rolled with it. And it's like, okay, like, remember when we talked a little bit about version control? It feels like maybe that would be a thing that could prevent that. This is cool. Look, I got lots of little buildings here. I got people moving in. I'm almost to 42,000, which is my next goal. So that's good. And yeah. Wow. So do you commute only on weekends, Brad? Or because you can't do 6 hours a day every day, right? I mean you could, but it would be really, really, really hard. Or was it 3 hours each way every day? Oh, okay, yeah. All right. Yeah, so that's, I mean, there are definitely people, at one point I know someone did the math and they were like, if I, like, compared to living in London, like, I could literally, like, fly to Spain every night and fly back on, like, Spirit or some cheap budget airline, and it would, and it would be cheaper than living in London. To just fly to Madrid and live there, which I thought was an amusing stat. Hey, I did it! Now I can build a nuclear power plant and a floating cafe. I can't do much about a floating cafe because I'm pretty sure all of my water is poisonous at this point, but... Yeah, that's right. Spirit is the US. It was Ryanair or something along those lines. And I could be misremembering exactly what the story was, but it was something along those lines. Okay, so then after working at that, so that was my first job, and I did not rock the boat much. So we did a lot of like Flash websites, and so we had like Flash intros on our websites, you know, the whole like skip intro buttons and everything else like that. Like we had it all, and we at one point I tried to send around an email. There's someone I met in the local like Linux community, and he also worked at another marketing and design firm, and he had written a blog post basically criticizing my company because of, you know, our use of Flash. It was like, this is terrible, blah, blah, blah. And I wonder how my sewage situation is doing. Okay, sewage is good. Water availability is not so great. I think comes from over here. Yeah. So let's go ahead and build some water pumping facilities. That's out, right? Yeah, okay. Oh, sorry. So that was my only kind of attempt at like action to convince my employer to try to do better by not doing so much Flash for things it wasn't needed for, and not be part of the skip intro disaster that the web had created at that point. It did not go well. You know, we were a marketing company. We didn't really care about the design aspect or other things like that. Like, how pretty is it? How much does it conform to web standards was not important. It was, does it meet our, you know, our clients' needs and desires? That's all that matters. And that was informative for me too. I learned that, you know, one, you're not going to win every battle. Just because you're right in a you know, general sense does not mean that you're going to convince the other people that you work with that something is true. And sometimes you know, it's okay to ask the question, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get a lot of positive response from your coworkers, which has been an important thing for me to learn in a lot of other parts of my, you know, my life professionally. So once I did that for a year, like I said, we moved down to Cambridge because Jess got into Wellesley. For a little while, I tried to reverse commute, and it ended up being terrible for me, and so I stopped doing that, which is good. And instead, I said, okay, I'm gonna contract. Like, I'm going to like work as a software contractor. Like, I'll pull things up off of, you know, I'll find things on. I was looking on freaking Craigslist, you know, $5-10 an hour contracting jobs doing things, not $10, $15 an hour contracting jobs doing things for companies that were, you know, sometimes sketchy and whatever else like that. I ended up doing a lot of those. There was a couple of people that I worked with who, you know, I wrote PHP for Sensatronics, who does these sensor detection stuff. I wrote, you know, a couple of these other things, and mostly, but I got really lucky because right around that time, actually Mark Andreessen, you know, the guy who invented Netscape, emailed me, and he was like, hey, you know, we're doing this startup. I'd really like to, you know, have you join us. Can we do an interview with you? And now it's worth noting that, like, when Mark Andreessen says we're doing this startup, well, thanks for Core Dream Studios. Like, that is just him using his name to throw weight around. Like, his company was like a funder of the startup, but he like had nothing to do with it. They just, you know, he's the one who invites people to join them because he knows that people open the email that way. And that worked on me. And the reality is that worked out really well for me. Look, it even did the cat in the thing. Good job. It's not going to read it out loud, though. I should fix that so it reads emoji names out loud. So I was doing that, and that was another case where I definitely was just keep my head down, you know, do this thing. I did get a couple of cool things out of it. They were working at one point to build a like restaurant review site of like vegan or like organic food or whatever else like that, because I was working in the end for Ning, which if you've only been around the web for, you know, less than 15 years or 20 years, you probably never heard of. But Ning was the idea of allowing people to create a platform for apps where you could just like clone an app and create your own, and it was going to be super easy to turn on these apps and do all this other stuff. It was a cool idea. Didn't end up working out, but it was fun. Nope, everything should be however I think it is, and we should read out all the emoji names. Uh-oh, I got dead people or something. Oh, is my cemetery full? No more room at the inn. Okay. Let's build... Where's the cemeteries? The hospital section? Yeah, there we go. And build another dead people storage facility. I'm gonna put that out by our incinerators and garbage dumps. These are gonna be the shitty cemeteries, so... Go ahead and empty this out. Dead people storage facility. Yes, the cemetery. Is that not where you store your cemeteries? Or store your dead people, rather? Oh no! Why are you on fire? Hello, fire truck. Get in there. Okay, good. You put out the fire. Albatross Publishing decided to be on fire. One overeducated worker. So why are you overeducated? Why did you go to school for so long? Drop out like me, you silly overeducated worker. Okay, so worked for Ning for a year, and then they figured out that they didn't really have any money anymore, and they outsourced my job to India. And then on my last build that I submitted to them before they outsourced my job to India, they were like, we think you're overcharging us for this month. And that was my first experience. Well, it was my second experience of feeling like I was being told I was cheating the company I was working for. But the first one was at a movie theater that I worked at. So the fact that they were kind of scummy wasn't nearly as much of a surprise. I actually later met my CEO from that company at a conference for the first time not too long after that, after they had let me go. Yes, I did. Yeah, so they basically, I think it was very simple. They ran out of money. They were not being successful. Were not able to turn around the white label deals they wanted to do and other things like that. So that was my first time being outsourced. And I kind of freaked out because we were living in Cambridge, and initially the plan was we were going to move into Cambridge and we were going to have 3 people helping with the rent and everything else like that. It turned out that that didn't work out so well, so I was paying the rent myself on a house that cost us $3,100 a month. Not super good, especially if you have no college experience. You have about 2 to 3 years of work history with no really strong references, and that's it. So it is a nice poopy area to build that floating cafe, but that is not what I'm gonna do. I will consider whether I should build I could build the floating cafe here, maybe. It's gonna be noisy because of those wind turbines, which are apparently also noisy for some reason, but I don't know where the floating cafe is, though. Chirp X launch site? I guess I can launch rockets. Alright. I guess it would be in, like, luxuries somewhere. Alright. Japanese garden, tropical garden. Here's my floating cafe. Oh, all these people are unhappy. Why? Oh, because they're unhappy because it's noisy. I don't want to build it right next to all the water pumps either, though. Alright. No road access. Yeah, I know. I gotta build a road. Just give me a second. Oh, did I screw that up? Let's bulldoze this road here. See if I... How do I connect a road? Take care, Jess. Needs to be generally near the front. I might have screwed up here. Oh, well, I've got money to fix it if I want, so. Alright, let's bulldoze this. And then try again. Parallel. Okay. So like I build a road here. I think I might have built it too close. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, too close. Alright, let's try this again. Go away, go away. We're gonna run a road here. Connect this up. And then try that. Aha! There we go. Built a floating restaurant. Hello, Chris GC8. Okay, so no one is ever going to come see this place, but we will build some fancy, we're build some low-density residentials along here. And that's because all the rich people are going to live here. And it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Like, what are you doing, guy? I like these people just, like, coming down here. Oh, look, he's going to the floating cafe. Oh, look. Look, there's 2 people already. What are they going to do? How do they... Do they just, like... stand on the dock? He's just taking a picture of it. Wait, this is... That's not... That feels like it's not going to work. I like that, So we've got visitors, but literally all they do is they come and they stand on the dock, and they can't actually get there. I don't think I can pick the people up. It's not like Roller Coaster Tycoon. Like I need a Oh, this is a failure. Utter failure. I don't know what to do. It's just this all these people hanging out on the dock being like, what do we do now? Like, how do we get there? I want them to come eat, though. Alright, so what do I need to, like, landscape this somehow. So that it's low enough that I can... Well, that doesn't seem like it did the right thing at all. Feels like I did the opposite of what I wanted. I want it to go down. Oh, there we go. And build a whole little flat area here. Oh, that's like too flat. Oh no. Ah. It's fine. I'm just gonna landscape to the point where I can get a working floating cafe. I swear to God, I'm not gonna spend all of my time, all game, just doing this. Only a little bit. Okay, can I build a road down this hill? Sort of. Okay. Let's try and landscape some more and make it all the way. I think I need a slightly softer cliff. So, sorry houses, you're gonna have to go away. I don't like you anyway. Okay, now let's terrain some more. So the first two jobs I had, like I said, so I was doing, you know, basic web development, documentate, like take this Word doc and this Photoshop doc, make a website, like nothing complex, nothing really all that interesting. And then I was working as a contract worker on a startup that was interesting in theory, but I had no like power, control, influence, or anything else like that. So then I started, and then I kind of freaked out because I basically like lost my job and didn't know what the fuck I was going to do next because I needed a lot of money and I didn't have a lot of money. So this feels like this built it up more and I want it to go down more. Can I? Oh, maybe this will be okay. I don't think so though. All right, so I need to landscape some more. Get out of here. Raise this ground up. Make a nice flat. This angled descent. Flatten this out. So the next thing I did is that I actually started doing contract work for two different companies, both of which were basically people that I had met in the geo maps hacking scene. One of which was working for a company called Placial, which did like, you know, register your own places, and you could... So I don't understand how this, like, it doesn't feel like anywhere I put this, it's ever at the water level. Like, none of this is at the water level. So I need to just, like, get rid of the hill entirely. Make it a flat area to land in. Is that the trick? Alright, I wonder if that's going to be low enough that people will actually be able to get over to this cafe. Step 2, get a road. And I am not picky about my roads. It's going to run a road right here. Oh no, that made it go up! See, now nobody's going to be able to get to it again. I'm going to have the same problem. Alright, well, I'm going to try it again. See if it works better this time. It's not gonna, but that's okay. We'll give them water because, you know, it turns out restaurants need water. We'll even give them electricity because they also need that. And then we will click play. That road is awesome, and I have absolutely no problems with it. I don't know what you're talking about. So once I did that, so I got lucky. I used my social connections, thankfully, and people came and gave me a job. Yeah, I have the exact same problem. So I think that the floating cafe is really just a place where people go and stare across the water at the cafe. That is what it is for. I have officially determined it. It is done. And since we're no longer using this for anything anyway, we'll go ahead and try one more time. Alright. Everything's going to be very flat. Just at the water level. Well, the problem is you can't. You have to actually have a bunch of residents before you can get the floating cafe. So you have to have 42,000 people before you get it. And so that's the trick there. How's it going, Andre? I'm doing good. It's my last day working for YouTube. So I'm wearing my YouTube shirt to celebrate my impending descent or leaving of YouTube, and talking about how I got to work at YouTube and be a respected member of our internal community by yelling at people very loudly. So let's see. Want to lower this some more? Okay, so yeah, so I luckily talked to people, and I actually ended up as a contractor at a startup, effectively like building and helping release an open source project, which is not something that you usually get to do. So I got really lucky. I had someone who was working on a project, and I had expressed interest in it, and they needed more hands, and so I came in and I helped them do that. So they had kind of like, they'd open source something, but then they had to rewrite it from scratch because of patent bullshit, and so I came in and helped with the rewrite from scratch. And as a result, you know, I was looking at it and I was trying to figure out, like, well, do I want to work? I was contracted for 2 companies, and I was like, I should really just pick one. And amusingly, I ended up, so this is stupid. So I've actually been fired because of a social media post. I was attempting to post a LiveJournal, like an internal monologue of like, so I'm working for these 2 companies. I like them both, but one of them I feel like has more kind of long-term prospects for exactly what I want to do, and one of them is more like not that. And so I really want to, like, I need to pick one that I'm going to work for, and I don't know which one it should be, but I feel like it should probably be the, you know, the one that I'm working on this open source project with. And I was going to post this on my LiveJournal, and I was going to post it friends only, and I misclicked it, and I accidentally posted it public, and I fixed it right away, but not before Technorati, the, you know, blog scraper, went out and scraped the first, like, 2 sentences of it, which was then, like, indexed in their search, and there was basically, like, news alerts, so I mentioned Playshul in, like, my first 2 sentences, and so it got, it, like, turned up in the CEO's search, and she was like, I don't really think we can work together anymore if this is how you feel about our prospects. And I was like, fuck. So I screwed myself over on that. Luckily, I had the job offer from Metacarta, and it ended up working out. I think that was the right choice in the end. Metacarta lasted longer than Playshul did, so I feel like I ended up in the right spot. Okay, I'm giving up on the fishing cafes. They're all stupid, and nothing will ever work. All right, so what do we got? You're emptying this out. All right. I am leaving YouTube. Yep. This is my last day at YouTube. I will be switching to another team inside Google. I will be working on helping open source projects, helping Googlers open source more projects more effectively. So that is my new team. I am switching. This is my last day at YouTube. I will never work there again. Well, never say never, but we'll probably never work there again. The Modern Art Museum is on fire. Well, that sucks. That's right, Andre. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not news that I am switching. This has been a long time coming. I've been working on switching for the past like 5 weeks. So it is not brand new news to anyone who is a regular of the stream. I announced it on Twitter and so on a while back. So yeah. So it was not until I started working at Metacarta that I kind of learned more about kind of using my voice to have an influence. It was the first time that I kind of had more of a, maybe not a leadership position, but at least more kind of control within our team to do things that were not just what the boss said should be done, but to offer my feedback and get involved. Prior to that, it was basically all just like, I will do whatever you tell me to work on, and I'm not going to think about it too much. I'm just going to do my best to implement whatever you think is the right thing. And so with making that switch at Metacarta, I learned about, you know, making prioritization decisions, doing estimates was a really important thing. And then for the first year I was there, I was basically just an open source maintainer. Like that was the big thing that we worked on, that I worked on was maintaining the open source project that I had been kind of contracted to help build. That didn't last forever, sadly, but I continued to be very involved. And one of the things that I learned, and this is kind of sad, is I am not leaving forever. I will be continuing to stream, yes, but I will, even more so than I already have been, be refusing to be answering questions about YouTube. All right, do some residential over here and more office buildings over here and some commercial over here and more residential over here. Okay. And so there, I worked directly for the CTO. So I worked in Octo, the office of the CTO at Metacarta. I worked there for about 4 years. I ran projects that were my own. I pissed off teams like the one that Mark worked on, the engineering team, all the time, because John was always out doing whatever the next big thing was, however easy it was. And that's right, you don't need crossroads. This is like Back Bay. This is, you know, the crossroads are useless anyway. Just have big long strips and only connect every now and then. So then but yeah, so at that point though, I was not really working with a big team. I worked in the office of the CTO, which was basically like the CTO and as many people as it took to keep him from causing trouble for the rest of the company. So at any given time, he would have like 2 or 3 people who were working for him. All of their goal was just to keep him sufficiently happy that he wouldn't go ask for engineering resources from people who did not work in the office of the CTO. Because he had a million great ideas. They were, you know, involved and interesting, and we were doing a startup at the time, and you know, he was out there trying to go out there and do things, but he had a lot of ideas that would be half-baked or kind of not thought all the way through that were an issue as well. I'm going to keep talking about my thing for now, Andre, and when I kind of finish my life story here, I'll loop back around and we'll talk about other things. Because I'm already taking, I mean, I'm 45 minutes into the story, and I'm only like 2 years into my employment history. But yeah, so it was as many people as it took at any given time to keep John happy. I actually started out, and when I first got hired by Metacarta, I actually got hired at $77,000 a year. I had 2 years of work experience and 2 years of college experience. I was living in Cambridge, where that was not a lot of money, especially on a single income household. But it was okay. Like, it was okay, and we made it work. And after I worked there for about a year, I actually got, you know, because they didn't trust me. Like, they didn't have any reason to trust me. You know, the story I've always told, which is maybe apocryphal, is that, you know, John had me be interviewed by some people from the engineering team, and the comment that they got when they hired me was, it's amazing how good he is for how little he knows. And my apocryphal version of that story is that Mark Eichen, sitting in the chat, is the person who said that. And that's a great compliment, because it has always been my opinion that it's not about what you know, it's about what you can learn. And I think that that was one of the things that I did, is by trying to go out there and learn new things all the time, whether it was JavaScript or maps, whether it was, you know, a technology or code, whether it was Python or PHP or Perl or whatever else out there. I was just trying to learn as much as I could all the time. And that really has benefited me a lot in life. And, yes. An entire office covered in maps, which I then got. They actually framed a bunch of them, which I still have in my house and haven't hung up. So I still think Mark accepted that he might have said that, I think. But yeah, so that was one of the first places that I learned how to do, you know, some things, but it was still a small team. It was just a few of us, and basically the only person that I had to convince to do something or not do something was John. And that's not really enough. You really need to have more than that to be really, you know, experienced as a software developer. And so when I switched to Nokia, John basically went off and started doing his own thing, and so we were acquired by Nokia. And I then had to take the knowledge that I had about doing things my way and carry that into doing things the way that it would help a larger group. So I needed to learn how to, you know, take a step back and prioritize more, take a step back and be more involved in explaining why things were the way they were, or anything else like that. So yeah, so for 4 years I did that, and when I started at Nokia, you know, I'd only worked in this small team. I'd only worked with this kind of specific way of work, and I did not have the experience to really know what to do or say, and I had to learn. I had to learn how to work with other people. And the big thing about learning to work with other people is you have to, in my opinion, you have to learn to convince them of the things they know to be true, in part. Part of your job when you're working with a team is to, and you want to convince them of something, is to say, like, look, you know, here's the data you already have that tells you what you need to know. Here's the thing that you want to do, because you can look at it and say, hey, this is going to be better for us, and you just haven't done it yet. And so that was really where I learned to kind of speak the language of whoever I was talking to try and understand what metrics they were looking at and what decisions they were making and how they were making them was really crucial to, you know, my success in that team. And over time, I became kind of known as the go-to for our metrics. I took this little area and I said, you know, I can write a Python UI. And I wrote a Python UI to collect data from a large group of contractors that we worked with. I helped build the team. I helped hire them. I helped write guidelines. I helped figure out how we should write guidelines. Wow, that traffic is not good. Oh, man. No wonder the garbage is backing up. Okay, okay, I was wrong. Cross streets, cross streets, cross streets. Let's see. We'll run one here. So yeah, so I built the team that did data collection. I built the guidelines. I helped basically just take on that task and own it. And it's not like it's trivial if you're working on a machine learning pipeline to define, you know, metrics and how they should be collected and what the guidelines should be and everything else like that. So that was just the area that I took on as my own. And eventually, you know, made enough of a difference that people began to respect me. There are no bike lanes. We don't want no bikes, no scooters, no nothing. I was thinking that, Org. It's like traffic management is the primary thing that I spend all of my time on in this game. Alright, let's go ahead and we're gonna take a road out here as well. And we're gonna... Is this curved? put that in there. So we got another path in. I don't know if that's going to do anything good at all. Doesn't look like it. Bike lanes are for chumps. Nobody rides bikes in Cities Skylines. Are there actually bike lanes at all? Can you do that? I don't actually know if that's even like a thing. Alright, we're actually going to take these edges and we're going to double them up too. Oh, I need to delete this, I think. Yep. Space already occupied. You know it's already occupied. I wanna make it bigger. Something here. Like a named building? No, right? I don't know. Looks like I cleared out some of my traffic somehow. I think my crossroads helped a little bit. Okay. I'm alright with that. Yeah, I don't know if I have the After Dark DLC. Okay, everything seems better here. My traffic is no longer backed up all the way down these roads, which is good. It'll also keep people healthier because they can actually, like, get to the hospital and to the crematorium, which is where they need to be. So yeah, Nokia basically became the metrics expert. I became the person who was known for looking at problems and understanding them. And that's really, you know, I think that was my open source experience was part of what drove that. My work in LiveJournal was part of what drove that. Like being someone who was always looking out for how users use the tools and doing something different with them because of that was kind of always my shtick. What are all these cars just like parked on the side of the road for? Oh, there's a big thing here. Okay, cool. They're visiting the friendly neighborhood park. I wonder if this gets any visitors. I got 17 visitors last week. Excellent. Nobody can eat there, but they can all come and stand on the dock. This is the stupidest floating cafe ever. Oh, look, a dog. Hello, dog. So I was able to carry that forward, and when I joined Google, when I applied to Google, actually, I had absolutely no intention of working there. None. None whatsoever. My only goal for applying to Google, was to get a better salary offer so that I could, like, shop it against other people, because I did not want to work for Google, because everyone who goes inside Google and loses the ability to talk to the rest of the world and disappears. It has happened to every single person, and I have always been, like, saddened and frustrated by it, because it is, like, I've seen people from the open source world do it, I've seen all these things, and I was like, I'm not going to let that happen to me. I'm not going to be another person sucked into the Google vortex who you never hear from again. But then I was talking to the person who I was interviewing with, and he described the job. And he was like, so what we want to do is find someone who can talk to users and understand their problems and get them fixed. And I was like, oh shit. Because that's what I've been doing for Nokia. What I've been doing for Nokia was trying to find all the ways we could better understand the users of our platform. We worked on this Maps platform, and I wanted to have a better understanding of what users wanted from it. Like, what type of searches were they doing and not working and weren't working for them? What types of problems were they having? Like, how could we fix them? And so I was like, you know, and so it was an interview for the CDN team, basically, but it was the quality of experience team at YouTube. and their goal is to measure the quality of user experiences and video playback and carry that and improve it. And at the time, I didn't really understand how it worked, and so I was thinking like, oh, you need like a better caching, whatever. And it's like, no, really what we need is someone to look at all of these graphs that we have and figure out when they're pointing the wrong direction. And so they, it was basically just a job of like better understand, like we have a million graphs and a million breakdowns and a million other things, like help us understand what we should be doing in order to fix the poor user experiences that we know we have, but we haven't figured out how to do anything about. And I was like, God damn it. Like you have described like a me-shaped hole in your organization. And I was like, you know what? Fine, I'll do it. I'll do it. You have the ideal like requirements for a job for me. I'm not going to turn it down just because it's Google. Like, I'll try it out. If it doesn't work out, I can always come back and find another job later. It's not like I can never quit Google. Of course, now I've gotten used to the money, so maybe that is actually true, but that's not the point. What is going on here? Oh, this is just extra shit that I built that I don't need anymore. Okay. All right. My little area here being built up. Let's check the levels on these. And so at YouTube, I spent the first few months just getting used to things. I started reading, like we had an existing tool that would basically say like, here's the worst performing ISPs this week compared to last week. And so I started looking into that and trying to understand issues from that. And at one point, I think someone pointed me to the YouTube subreddit. I was aware of Reddit before, but I had never used it seriously. I knew Aaron Swartz back in 2004, 2005, and he wrote Infogami and like merged his team with Reddit before they were bought by whoever. And so like I've known Reddit and had a Reddit account for like 10 years, but basically had only ever used it to upvote posts that people were like, can you please help me upvote this post? Take care, Aquarium Studios. And so at some point, about 6 months into my time at YouTube, I was like, okay, well, there's these people having problems on Reddit. I want to understand their problem. I want to understand their problem, and I want to like help them fix it if I can. And so, but I didn't know, like, there were like rules for how you're supposed to post internally, externally, and like I was super conservative about it. And so like all I would do is I didn't say I worked for Google. I didn't say I could fix it. What I said was like, if you post these 3 pieces of information, like YouTube employees sometimes read these forums and they might be able to help. And I started getting this really good information where like we figured out that every Saturday at noon, like a UK ISP was having problems with their network. And so that I took that to a team and I said like, hey, I don't know what to do about this. So I like asked around. I said like, who should I talk to about this? Like how, like what's the process we use to, like when this is happening? And the answer was like, there is no process. Like we have no solution for this. We have not done this in any way before. We have no answer for you. But let's figure it out. Upgrade road. This is what I wanted to do earlier. Okay. I forgot how to upgrade roads, but I got it now. Okay. And we will run another road through the middle here. Well, because we figured out that lack of crossroads is bad. Mix this up and put that in there. And so there was no process. And so I'm like, okay, well, I want to keep doing this. So I had like dug up instructions that we used to talk to users, to ISPs. So when ISPs were having problems, we had instructions for them because they would come to our NOC where they have a relationship and they would talk to us. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll just follow the instructions here and I will bring it to this person in the office and say, hey, like just as a favor, I don't know much about this. Can you help me like understand more what's going on here so I can try and see if we can fix some of these? And thankfully, I found someone who was really responsive to that, which is a key part. Without Devin's help, I would never have been able to progress in this goal. And it is not the case that you're going to find those things at every company where someone's willing to say like, yeah, I will take time out of doing the things that are my, day job to go above and beyond to help users. But I found somebody who did that, and I like so there's like a Google happy hour every week. And so for like 6 months, every week at the Google happy hour, we would both grab a beer and I would sit down with some issue that I had dug up either from graphs or from Reddit or whatever. And I would say like, please help me understand what's going on here. And so the next time I see something, and I'll watch you debug and I'll learn the graphs and tools you use so that the next time a user has this type of problem, you can, like, I can do it on my own. And he was super gracious and helped me do that. And as a result, I gained all these skills in network debugging. And that was a key part of my job. The thing was that, so basically, like, I used those skills, I built into it. I built up a reputation as someone who found good problems. So in the first 18 months that I worked at Google, I filed, so 18 months is like 500 days. I filed like 1,000 bugs in the first 500 days that I worked at Google. And a lot of them were like individual things. They're just tracking this bug. Can you please help me dig into it? I just want to understand, you know, what's going on here so that we can, you know, do it better, see if there's a way we can improve it, and whatever. And in the process, I figured out like, oh, well, this thing is a problem. Like if you have an ISP that has 2 upstream providers that are transit providers, which I didn't know what a transit provider was. Like I didn't know what an ASN was when I started at Google. I didn't know anything about networking. But I eventually figured out like if we have 2 network providers and on one ISP, like we don't pick between them well. And I was like, how is this supposed to work? And the answer was like, well, it's supposed to work via like this feature that we have written but never known how to roll out because it's too scary. It's too scary for us to roll this feature out because the risk of screwing it up is too high. So it's always just sat here unused because of that. And I was like, wait, so you have a feature to fix this, you know it's a problem, but you haven't done anything about it? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I'm someone who works on the knowing how bad things are team. Like, it feels like this is a space where I should step in and own this process. And they were like, cool, like, go for it. And as a result, I went ahead and, like invented a process for rolling this feature out. And at that point, it was, again, more of the same. It was like, okay, you've done this one thing. Like, did it work? Yes. And so now you go on to the next thing with a little bit more trust and a little bit more reach and another team of people that you can go to. And it's basically how I did everything at Google. And because I was posting on Reddit all the time, like, I would see people who were complaining, like, hey, I've lost access to, like, this video is taken down or this other thing was taken down. And so I started looking around for people who could help with that. Like, was there an escalation process? Was there anything else that we could do? And started making connections in that space. And so basically over the course of the past, you know, N years at this point, I've just gone around slowly making like 1 or 2 new connections every few months against a team. And so now I have a person who trusts me, has seen what I do, has seen what I can do in the subscriptions team, in the notifications team, in the abuse team, in the web player, in the mobile player, in Android, in iOS, in networking, in, you know, all of these different things. And just having one person to go to and say, hey, can you give me a double check on what this says? And can you give me a read on whether what I'm asking for is reasonable so that we can try and make this situation better? Using individual cases to carry forward and identify changes that need to be made. And it's worked shockingly well. We've been able to, you know, make changes to our software that does assignment of network traffic. We've been able to make changes to our, you know, classifiers that take down live videos. And we've been able to do all these other things. And another thing that I did is that anytime I felt like I had a story that was broader, I would write it up. I'd say, like, here are the 12 cases that we've seen that are like this, and this is a real problem, like, and I'm looking for a team that can help me understand how we can fix this better, like, not just as one-offs, but as something beyond that. And so those write-ups would give me a little bit more credit, because then people would know that, you know, they'd get passed around and I'd find a person and everything else like that. And it was another way of, like, making that outreach happen so that people knew that there was someone trying to solve these problems and could like hopefully improve it. Oh no, I think my fire protection's a little bit weak over here. Yep, sure is. Let's go ahead and put a big fire station there. Also, oh my goodness, so much fire missing. Put one there, and we'll put one in this corner here. No one wants to live in anyway. Alright, so now we got a lot more fire trucks going on. Ah, who cares about the cops? Go ahead and run just a small station at this intersection, which I hope is gonna spread along that. Nope. Not enough. Yeah, so this is a one-way road, which makes this section kind of hard to get to. But you do have cops both here and here, so I'm not actually worried about that too much, but... That's right. No cops at Pride, no cops in Los Cruz. And so this is one of the things that, you know, a bunch of people have been so I just went to a big work event and I said goodbye to a bunch of the people that I've worked with who I've worked on their area of thing, but don't work with on a daily basis as like part of my job. And a lot of them were like, well, we're going to miss you, but you're still going to file bugs against my team, right? And I'm like, no, I can't keep doing that because then it would just consume my life as it has, like, filing bugs against your team and all the other teams for the past long time. Like, I'm going to make a clean break. If you ever see another bug filed from me after this weekend, like, it will mean that I have broken down and I should be, you know, punished for my lack of fortitude in sticking to not working on YouTube anymore. But the reason that those teams like it is because by building up these trusts with a bunch of different teams, I've had people who advocate for me, who are able to reach out and say, like, Chris is a good person. If he's saying something you really want to listen. I've had people who have seen my good work and carried it forward. And I've had, like, all of these positive experiences that I'm able to carry and make progress with. So by meeting just one or two people at a time, working on, you know, understanding their problems, understanding their problem space, and really talking to them and speaking to them in their language, I've been able to make this, like, positive steps across the entire YouTube organization to the extent that, you know, everyone was like, that I told was leaving, was like, we're really going to miss you, and we think that our area of the product may suffer because you're gone. And I'm really kind of proud of that. I think that they're also overblowing it a little bit. Everything will be fine. Like, I am not that important. We have a lot of people who do a lot of good things at YouTube. And so on and so forth. But it's the most common question I get inside the company is like, how did you get to do this role? And the answer is, I didn't ask permission. I didn't, you know, wait for someone to tell me I could. I just said, I want to do this, and I'm going to go and do this. Now, on the other hand, this has risk. So at Google, or at YouTube, I've also... Oops. Oh, this is a shitty situation. I wonder if I can just make this road bigger. I'll move you over here. Do another upgrade. Upgrade. So yeah, I expect there's a lot of Cities Skylines players who would look at my kind of haphazard lines and be like, oh my god, your grid patterns are terrible, but I don't mind. I do it that way anyway. Okay, so now, where are we backing up now? Okay, looks a little bit better. Are these cars just parked? No. Okay. Oh, wait. Yes, they are. All right. So, yeah, those aren't highways. They're still just parked cars. Yeah. Like I said, I'm sure I'm killing some of you. All right. I'm almost to my Metropolis goal, so that's cool. Yeah, so the first, like, one of the games I played off stream, I definitely was very, like, precise in doing, like, oh, I'm gonna have perfect grid patterns and everything's gonna be lined up. And then I was kind of like, you know what? Like, I live in a city where, like, that's not how anything works. Like, no streets go through, everything's a one way that goes the wrong way. Like, traffic is always terrible, and I love the city I live in. So, like, I'm not gonna freak out because, you know, things aren't always perfect. Like, that's the reality of the world. This long line is maybe a little bit excessive. Is it like 2 light cycles? It's like, yeah, it's like 2 light cycles. That's not that bad. Wow, there are a lot of people at this bus stop still. See, this is the problem with public transportation. Like, I need to find some kind of, like, bigger bus. But yeah, look, like, everyone is, like, these 3 stops have everyone on them, and then there's, like, 3 other stops that, I guess they still have some people on them, but... So, my public transport sucks. I've got a couple of bus lines. So I think the yellow line is also a bus line. No, I've got the blue line for bus, the green line for bus. Nobody is riding whatever this is. Oh, I've got bus lines and metro lines. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is some other type of thing I don't have. Trains. Okay. Yeah, so I have 4 metro lines that serve, you know, a few passengers per week. And then my bus lines are serving actually a lot less. Oh, that's right. I built the metro lines because this bus like was so backed up. So, I mean, third world country public transport. You mean like the U.S.? The U.S. has terrible public transport. Like at least in public transit, and pretty much everywhere in the U.S. is really terrible. But at least in Boston, it's like we have some. You know, you go out to Mountain View and there's just like none. So yeah, I guess that's really my, you know, I was talking a little bit to, yeah, I'm not surprised you don't. Why did you build an outlet store on a one-way road that no one drives down? Of course you don't have enough customers. Like, go close up shop and do something else. All right. So that's kind of cool. I got more to expand into in this square here. I've also owned this square over here, so I could do something else in there, but I don't think that that's a plan for me at the moment. I bought it specifically so I could add a 2nd and 3rd entrance to the town, which you can see that I've done. So they're both so terrible because it took me so long to figure out how to even like build roads, but this one's nice. This one feels like it flows well. I actually kind of thought that out and got that in, but yeah, I can buy more squares. I just don't like, I don't really feel the need to buy all the squares when I'm not even using what I have. But like, I have $6 million and each of these squares costs like 10 grand. So 13,000. Yeah. So I could buy like everything on this map. Everything's cringe. The whole city is cringe. It's what I do. So yeah, I worked at my first 2 jobs. I never ruffled feathers. I tried once to kind of like, you know, tell my management that we should do more than we were doing, and they were like, nope. And I was like, okay, that's not gonna work. And at Google, I have told VPs that they're doing the wrong thing. I have told, you know, senior PMs that their product is stupid. And the reality is that while there is certainly some... Where are you all going that you... Like... Oh, this isn't actually 3 lanes of traffic, it's only 2. Ugh, okay. I wonder if I can up, like, if I have a no... Is this the same size? Yeah, no parking. This is the whole industrial area anyway. I should never have had parking on the main drag. Oh, that didn't get rid of parking. It just added another lane with parking next to it. God damn it! But look, you got 3 buses in a row right here. You got a green, a blue, and a red. And another blue. So, you know, my transit is, like, you know, they're all following the same path because I spent so much time trying to get my buses to not have a million people at that one stop. And I never figured out a way to fix it. I think if I click on this... So that one's fine. This line is totally useless. Well, I guess I got like 22 people on it, but not a lot of people. Yeah, this is a line that literally goes to 2 places so that I can try and like empty out this. Like this crowd. I don't know how to help you people, but I would like to. Just watch this person for a little bit. At Metacarta, I learned how to run an open source project. I learned how to run open source meetings, but I didn't actually do a lot of work that was directly collaborative within the company. I primarily existed to keep the CTO happy and prevent him from bothering the rest of the company. And then at Nokia, I worked for, you know, a manager in the office, and I had to do all these things, and not enough customers. Well, you're actually not in a bad spot. There's a lot of stuff around here. I don't know. And I have a metro. I tried so hard to build better metro lines and just like utterly failed at it. But look, it still does like 4 times as many people per week. Like if we look at this line, but I mean, I guess there's how many people on it right now? Like there's a bunch of reasonably full trains. So we have 7 trains, each of which have 100 people on them. Like, there are 700 people riding just this line of the metro right now. But then I've got these other lines, which, yeah, they have a few hundred people on them at the moment, but it's not really compelling. And I built those things at the stops where there are these massive crowds of people, and they just don't take them. Like, there are still all of these, like, hundreds of people here, and there's a metro stop here, and I don't know how to figure out, like, where they're all going, that they won't just take the metro there. So that was my, like, that was my problem. Well, they're loops. Like, my public transit lines are loops. So I have this loop, and I have this loop, and then this is not one way. Because I spent all of my, like, keep in mind, my metro lines were primarily, no, I don't seem to cause riots, so, you know, my metro lines were primarily trying to clear out this area. Like, for the longest time, this entire thing was just completely stopped constantly. And I had already built it to 6-lane highways, like, I had already done everything I could do, and I could not get anything else. And now you can see, like, a huge amount of this is literally just, like, buses waiting to pick people up from the stop and move them to somewhere else. There are ring subway lines somewhere, I think. Anyway, hello, Doggeth. But yeah, individual trust was just a huge component of why I was able to be successful at YouTube. I have been able to change a lot of things while working there. I'm super glad that I've had the opportunity to do that, and I'm looking forward to opportunity to make a difference in the open source world at Google as well. I love this game, Airbending Eagle. I am terrible at it, and I never feel like I'm making any progress, but it's still fun, and I like it. All right, I'm going to expand my roads here. We'll give them parkways because I am just nice like that. We're just going to run it all the way out to the edge. Well, we're going to run it out to these hills. All is well. It's my last day at YouTube, Doggeth. I'm actually really sad. I have loved working for YouTube, and I am sad that my time here is coming to an end. I am excited about the new gig. I'm really looking forward to it, but it has been such, like, you know, and just thinking about the differences that YouTube makes in the world, like, I realize there are a lot of things that YouTube does that make a lot of people upset, but I will probably never again work for a company that has reach like YouTube does. I just won't. There's just not a lot of other places out there like that. And so I was actually having a conversation with somebody, and he was like, so, you know, I was like, yeah, working at YouTube, you have the ability to have this massive impact. And he's like, well, there's jobs where you can have more impact, like, you know, researching vaccines as a doctor. And I'm like, you know what? If you take all of the positive impact that YouTube has between, like, education and advocacy and, like, you know, giving people money to live on and like become creators who then go on to give that money back to charity and everything else like that, and ignore the PewDiePie and the Logan Paul and the everything else like that, and look at these people in the mid-range that are, you know, starting foundations with their money and teaching other people skills and all of these other things. Like, there's so much impact. So it's my last day because my role was no longer working out the way I wanted to. I really enjoyed working at YouTube and helping users. I really enjoyed talking to users and understanding their needs, and carrying that information and knowledge forward so that we could, you know, improve our products, find where they weren't working, and carry that back and fix it. And unfortunately, that did not work well with Google's preferred public communication strategy. I vaguely considered just joining our comms team, but as a software engineer, I think that while it would have been interesting, I feel like my skills might have been a kind of poor match for it, and I decided that it was time to do something else instead. So I'm moving over into the open source world at Google. I'll be working to help Googlers open source more projects. Googlers open source on average something like 5 projects a day, and so, like, bringing more to the world is going to be a thing. I mean, it's not about the, like, it's my experiences as as a user advocate. Like, that is my dream role, is always a user advocate. So I sound actually less like a dev of any kind than I sound like a typical community manager. But because I have the software development skills, I want to use those where I can to kind of amplify my effect. Like, community management positions are hugely, massively important for successful companies, which is why, you know, YouTube could do a little bit better there. And we, you know, but it doesn't take full advantage of the skill set that I have to do more beyond that. So, all right, I'm gonna build another unique building in here. I don't know what it's going to be. I wonder if this has, like, a huge noise problem. I bet it does. Alright. So now we got a rocket launch facility. Doesn't have enough water at the moment. Let's get some water. Hello, Rosa Lucas. Welcome, welcome. Please say UX. I guess I said UX. I don't know if that's helping you or not. I mean, not enough water. Fix that problem. Can I? Yeah. No drinking tonight. I've had a long week. I was at a work conference all week. And so I am okay, so I need to like fill the entire thing with water. No costume today. Nope. I was at a work conference all week, and so I have been drinking every night this week, and I am tired, and I am also, because I'm changing jobs, I was worried I would become morose if I drank. So I decided to forego the alcohol, and I'm wearing my YouTube shirt for my last day at YouTube. So, all right. So now we got a Chirpex launch site. I don't know if that's gonna be super noisy and piss off everybody. Let's see if we can figure that out yet. Where's noise? Oh, that's actually not too bad. I mean, it's no worse than the office buildings and other shit like that, or the commercial buildings, so. Yeah. I mean, the problem is that, yeah, like, I have dealt with so many terrible, like, Nokia also taught me how to deal with terrible people. Nokia was a company full, like, European companies have a problem. That problem is that by, you know, whether it's for legal reasons or for societal reasons or for anything else like that, they don't fire people. And if you don't ever fire people, the people that you have don't stay good. And so, like, at Nokia, I had to learn to deal with idiots. I dealt with a VP who just completely chose not to read an email that was about how his team never read my emails. And when I called out that he had failed to read my email, like I had complained about in the email, he threatened to report me to HR and get me fired. Like, when we worked with teams that were like, there are definitely teams where if they had just stayed home, it would have been better for the company and better for me, and we would have gotten more done because we would have had to deal with less of them screwing it up. Rosa, I'm switching teams within Google to a different, I'm switching to a different group within Google. So it is my last day working as a YouTube employee, and I will be doing something else. So I'll be helping Googlers open source code more effectively. Yeah, contractors don't count. If you're a contractor, the company is saying to you, we do not want to have to deal with you like a European employee. But yeah, it was one of my favorites. One of the most like CPG stories about my time at Nokia was I'm in a meeting and we're pitching this new kind of politically sensitive project at work, and we're in a room with like 15 people from a variety of teams around Nokia, and like the three of us who are working on this project. So it's me, my coworker, and our manager. And in the room is like my manager's boss, and these other like 14 people. And so they go around the table and they say, you know, hi, I'm blah, I'm a project manager for foo. Like, hi, I'm blah, I'm a product manager for bar. Blah, hi, I'm blah, I'm a product manager for cucks. You know, like everything else like that. I don't know, how do you pronounce the metasyntactic variable QUUX? Because saying cucks is, when I say it out loud, suddenly it sounds wrong. Cucks? Quucks? And they finally get to me, and I just say, like, as I often do when I introduce myself, I'm just like, hi, I'm Chris. And, you know, someone else in the room says, okay, well, are you a project manager? And I said, no, I get shit done, which is true, and I stand by that statement. But in a politically sensitive meeting, saying to a room full of 13 product managers, like, no, I'm not like you, I get shit done, is one of that, you know, maybe that could have been better handled. So both, I just, like, my manager and my coworker, I am positive, were just, like, face palming as loudly as I can, as they could. But yeah, so at the same time, at Nokia, I made a lot of enemies. In fact, this is one of the reasons why I'm happy to be at Google, is because what I have found is that internal dissent is not just tolerated, it's encouraged. It is actually the case that, you know, Google actually, like managers, product managers, directors, VPs, everybody else like that, they all accept feedback and they improve things from it. As opposed to at Nokia, where people get themselves into boxes, and attempting to get them to listen and change anything they're doing means that you've got to have this freaking political war for no good goddamn reason. And it's terrible. It's a terrible experience for everyone involved, and it just makes the whole thing really sad. So, what are these? Oh, okay. So my rocket is not completely whatever. So yeah, so to be able to be an individual contributor at Google and feel like I can say things to anyone. I mean, I've gone up to Susan and told her I think she's wrong on things. You know, I don't know how much change that has had. You really can't just work by going to the exec level. That's not how it works. But I've got to every level of YouTube, from, you know, people who are lower level than I am working on engineering decisions to the CEO of the company, and said, I think you're doing this wrong and I think we need to do better. And gotten claps, you know. It's definitely a thing that I feel like is supported at Google in a way that isn't anywhere else. So that's a thing that I don't know how you can look for before you work somewhere. I don't think it's a thing you can test for very easily, but it is actually one of the reasons why when I was considering changing roles recently, I rejected Facebook as an option, was because Facebook does not have that culture of internal dissent. There are some people who can get away with it, but in general, I think you can expect, from the things that I've heard from people who've worked there and other stuff like that, you can expect that internal dissent is not a respected way of working. So, yeah, and that's how you get stuck with Simeon, is totally right. You know, OPK, the CEO of Nokia, like, he had too many yes men around him and did not realize that they had to change their approach. They had to change what they were doing. There were too many people who in 2010 thought that the iPhone was a fad. So Andre, I think even now, if you're an asshole, this is always, you know, so I joked recently on Twitter that there is a lot of cases where in Google, there's a case where someone is saying something and they're not wrong, they're just an asshole. You know, so you're not wrong, Walter, you're just an asshole, is definitely something that, you know, becomes a problem anywhere you are. So you have to learn how to say it right and in the language of the people you're speaking to. But even in the first, like, few weeks, you know, it is not uncommon that we will get so there's a weekly, like, company-wide meeting at Google, and people can go about ask questions to the execs who are standing up on stage, and all of the nooglers are, like, it's part of your orientation, you go to this meeting, and it is not uncommon that a noogler who's just started this week, has no Google experience, will go up and they will ask a question about, you know, hey, I've only worked here for, you know, 3 days, but I really think that we are kind of, like, perception-wise screwing the pooch on X, Y, or Z. And they'll get an answer, and sometimes they'll get change. You know, that Google, you know, the execs will give the best answer they can, and it will actually sometimes result in changes to the system that they have created. And that's, I think, unique in almost anywhere. So. So I don't despise Facebook. I have a lot of people. I have a lot of respect for people who work for Facebook. The people that I know are extremely dedicated and care a lot. I find it amazing, but I believe that somehow, despite Mark Zuckerberg and I being the same age, he failed to realize growing up that the internet is full of terrible people. And if you believe that the internet is full of good people and that by doing good things, it will mostly work out for the better, a lot of the things that Facebook does suddenly seem a lot more reasonable. And it's the only way I can really explain that. On the other hand, you know, Mark Zuckerberg's first, you know, foray into creating an online experience was becoming one of the terrible people by, you know, scraping everyone's Facebook photos off of the Harvard, like, internal, you know, Facebook of pictures and doing a hot or not website, which is pretty rude at best. Probably in violation of the GDPR if you were to do that today, but, you know, it's not Europe, so it doesn't matter. And he, so maybe there's a disconnect there that is not about your age or about understanding, but instead about, you know, why weren't you raised right? I want to see this rocket launch. Oh, I guess I get to push the button. Okay, cool. So they're just building a rocket right now. Yes, ChirpX, the Los Cruz competitor to SpaceX. All right. So what do we got here? We got no major traffic, but let's turn on my traffic problems and see where my worst traffic is. There's my transit lines, but I want my traffic. All right. So yeah, this little stretch here is just bad. Although, I wonder how much... So if I click on... I have to click on... Like a way to click on the road. There we go. Okay, so where is everyone going? A lot of them are coming to the back here. So I feel like I could take my university and move it. And connect that road through. Although I feel like I probably disconnected that road on purpose initially. I'm going to build the university right across from ChirpX. And then I'm going to extend this through the middle and see what we get. Oh, right. I think the reason I'd stop that is because this will... this is totally going to screw this cross street, but we'll try it anyway. We'll just try to... do a one-way road here to get more people coming through that way. See if that works. Might be there's not actually any demand for that at all. I have Chirpy off. Yes, I hate Chirpy. I found him totally frustrating. What I actually did way back when is I had a script that would take any super chats I got. So anytime you super chatted, it would trigger Chirpy in the game. But I'm not running the backend script for it at the moment, so not working now. Okay, so building like a one-directional 8-lane, like 6-lane superhighway here was definitely overkill. We do have some cars making this direction now rather than going the long way around, but it's definitely not great. I feel like this whole track, like, you need like a delayed left here, buddy. Like, left turn only lanes that, you know, are delayed and other stuff like that. Like, you need to hire a traffic management team. It's true, Andre. If the rocket blows up, I am in deep shit. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'm not going to attempt to build a roundabout. That's not a thing that's going to happen. I wonder if I convert this to two-directional, if we're going to get anything out of it. Or if this is just going to be, like, a mess because we don't actually connect to anything over here. But yeah, this is actually, I wrote a extension for Cities Skylines that does the Chirpy is super chat. So that was my exploration, writing a little mod for Cities Skylines. I don't think that I have access to bicycle lanes in this. I think we figured out. Okay, let's look at my educational status. I expect I am falling way behind. Only largely behind, not way behind. All right, elementary school, definitely a problem. Got no elementary school education going on. It's a little bit of an issue here. I don't know anything about any of the expansions. I don't even know if I own them. I was asked that earlier, and I don't actually even know. We won't put an elementary school in the middle of the industrial zone. Feels like that might be a mistake. Okay, so where are all of you going? Oh, you're all turning left. Okay. This is a good intersection. Definitely high class here, bringing the whole like 4-lane divided highway, crossing a 6-lane non-divided highway into a 2-lane road. Definitely high quality. There's another crowd. Okay, so my underground pathway is getting a little bit filled up, but... My trash capacity okay? Yeah, we could build another incinerator probably, but not quite yet. Oh right, I wasn't done building schools yet. That's right, I need more elementary schools. Not in the Smoky District. Okay, my elementary schools are actually pretty well distributed. I don't have one down here. This is like a commercial district in general, but... Oh, am my cemetery situation unhappy? Death care. Oh, we need more... something. Crematorium. Guess I can put some of these over here too. Alright, yeah, so we got the new elementary school built right next to the crematorium. It's going to be a super healthy environment for those kids. My rocket is still under construction. Alright, so my elementary capacity is still right on the edge, so we'll go ahead and toss a few more things in here. We'll build one right by the Expo Center. It'll be really exciting for people to go to school there. Oh, that was a little bit close to the industrial zone, but, you know, win some, lose some. And we're going to put one right in the middle of this little downtown area. Okay. Okay, so we also need a new high school. Oh, I've already got a high school right there, but, you know, whatever. And we'll actually toss one here as well. University's good. We built like 3 of those right away, which was total overkill. Let's expand a little bit on our parks and plazas over here. So we're going to not do the botanical garden. We've already got a couple of those, but we will do a dog park. Right next to Chirpex here. And we will do... It's a Japanese garden, tropical garden. Now, what other unique buildings do we have? We've got transport tower. We've got the Science Center, which is gigantic. And is going to fit perfectly right in here, maybe. Science Center. A Science Center. What is beeping? I don't know what it is that beeps. I don't know. Ah, okay. So I guess no one really likes the Science Center. No one's checking it out yet. Oh, we got 8 people. All right. Got at least some people. That's good. That's what I wanted. Even a couple cars parked here. Oh. Oh. Yeah. So I think, unfortunately, like, there's more that I would love to say about, like, the overall experiences I've had at YouTube and specific things that I've done that I think have given me more credibility, but they're all, like, internal things rather than external things, because it is wise for you to, at a company, at any big company, the reality is that doing anything in public is hard. It's one of the benefits of working with smaller companies is that you're small enough that you can come to an agreement on what your public comm strategy is going to be, that you can participate in it, and everything else like that. So, it's not a surprise that at Google, and I did actually figure out why when people start working at Google, they always disappear into the ether and you never hear from them again. It's not because, like, Google, it's not just because Google is more restrictive with public communications, but is also in part because Google has so many neat internal things that you can benefit from, whether it's, you know, mailing lists or communities, whether it's whatever, and you're talking to, like, smart people. Like, in general, you're talking to a group of people who are intelligent and, you know, like-minded and interested in technology and have lots of positive experiences to share with the world and everything else like that. And that's something that you can't, like, get when you just go out and talk on a mailing list on the internet, because there's so many people out there who are, like, jerks and assholes. There's so many people out there who aren't arguing or discussing in good faith, who aren't thinking of, you know, who aren't as interested in the technology, who aren't doing these things, and are just gonna, like, beat you up. And so, like, by being just in the little, like, Google space, you can avoid a lot of the negativity that exists in the world otherwise. So yes. Yeah, working for small companies trying to build up name recognition, you know, they will hire people specifically because they have credibility in specific communities. And it's actually not the case that, like, if you look at Google's acquisition of, like, Liar Cohen, YouTube's acquisition of Liar Cohen, who was, like, a music industry executive for years and years and years, and has signed, like, massive numbers of people in the music industry. Like, the reason that YouTube hired him was to get, like, his connections, like, to get his Rolodex. And so, like, that you see that in things that aren't just startups as well. Like, Google does the same thing, but they do it at a higher level. At the low level, you're really talking about, you know, please don't tweet. We have a message. We don't want you to screw up our message. And that was, I mean, that's the reason I'm leaving, is because it turned out that just, like, talking about run-of-the-mill things, like my personal opinions on Twitch, became too problematic for the company. So they said, you know, you can't keep having these conversations, and if you're, you know, and I said, okay, if I can't keep having these conversations, then I don't want to keep working on this. So, all right, I think I'm gonna wait it out. I'm gonna let these people live without power until this little power area extends. Come on, expand, expand. the way it works is that as buildings come out and that are connected to electricity, you'll have that electricity expand to cover different areas. But if people are not interested in building the particular zoning that you have, then they stay disconnected and you're supposed to run power lines to them. You can do it. We'll build another fire station over here. Build a police station. And we'll build a school. Let's see how big my science... I got 34 visitors last week. That's not bad. It's more than... It's almost as many as the tall building. Almost as many as... Well, half as many as the Expo Center. Modern Art Museum has... Yeah, so, like, there's all these, like, cool things I built, and they just have no visitors. Like, feels like such a waste. I mean, social media doesn't have to be a part of everyone's, like, approach. Like, if you're buying ads on, you know, Google or whatever, hey, I got an airport now. Maybe. I mean, absent, like, bulldozing the whole town and starting over, I don't have a lot of fixes for that, so. You're not wrong. So much red. Red everywhere. Alright, so where should I put my airport? Right here? Move my stadium. Oh no! Oh right, I have to have runways. Shit. I was like, it doesn't... I want to put it right in the middle so everyone can just, like, fly in and be right downtown. But it turns out that, you know, runways are long. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this here. The reason I'm going to build this here is because I actually think that... No, that's dumb. What do I want to do... What I want to do is I want to buy this square, purchase, and then I'm going to build it here. I love that everyone's apparently happy to be living right next to an airport. Not exactly the way I would expect an airport to work, but I don't know. I don't think so. Alright, so I need to move this to somewhere with power. Okay, at least in that case, the immediate neighbors were like, fuck this shit. Yeah, I like how no one's even, like... No one will even come to the airport. Oh man, my rocket is close. I don't think so. I think I just gotta wait a little bit, maybe. Yeah, it come from outside the city, so I think that the train station works the same way. I think there's like rail connections on some of these squares so you can connect to other stuff. I don't know exactly. Oh, it's slow. That's part of my problem. I forgot that when you get a new city level, it resets your speed to just be the slow speed. Alright, we got more demand for, oh, let's empty out this cemetery. Both of which things were correct. I don't know which things. Gotta give me more context, sorry. Oh, gotcha. I love my, like, my absolutely destroyed river as I have poisoned the entirety of this coastline. Like, this beautiful beach, and I'm like, you know what we're going to fill that with? Shit. Just all shit. That's what it's going to be. All shit, all the time. And more water pumps. Oh, cool. I serviced 384 passengers last week. So that's cool. I guess some people do actually come to and from the airport. Oh, look, all the little people walking in front. Hey, there's a plane. I prefer Poop River just as it is. Thank you very much. I can't make them stop. I can't control them. I don't need a bus line. Who needs a bus line? Just let them walk or take a taxi. That's how it works in the city. Page down. What? Page up and page down doesn't do anything. Oh, like I could have connected it here in another way? I just built a different stop. Now we have this stop which will take you here, and then you can change to a different line. No one will use it. It's great. I probably need to like have... Oh, I didn't make a line yet, right? And then... There you go. Look, Home Improvement Center. You're right across the street from the airport. I don't understand why your airport visitors are not coming to visit the Home Improvement Center. That feels to me like a totally reasonable thing. That would absolutely happen. Yeah, everyone's sad because it turns out that being right next to the airport increases your health. I'm not gonna, like... I was gonna build another, like, health center right next to the airport, but I should just demolish some of these things. Build a fire station here or something. Ops. Plazas. Los Cruz was the default name the game suggested for me. I have absolutely no... I didn't choose it. Huh. Everybody in. I know, Matt. I like when I started the game back up, I was like, really? That's what I did? Like I just left it like that? And then but it's like, yeah, that was the default they recommended for me, so whatever. Alright, so where do people go? Is that what this is showing me? Like if I click on the airport here, is this showing me the paths that people take from the airport? That's right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong and I actually did name it, but I don't think I did because I would not. I also am offended by Los Cruz. It's like that's not what it would be. It was tiring, Jeff. And it was also, you know, it's bittersweet. I'm excited to be working on the new team, but I am sad to be leaving YouTube. I'm sad to be, you know, it's YouTube is magical. And so I was talking a little bit on Discord. You know, YouTube puts together these like sizzle reels. They're like videos of like all of these like, you know, moment. If you watched YouTube Rewind ever, this year's YouTube Rewind had a section in the middle which was like about like had a little like kind of more heartfelt moment about like Me Too and gun violence and everything else like that. And YouTube puts those things together all the time. And every time I watch one, I cry. Like, I can't watch the 2017 Rewind without crying. And I know it's stupid. And it's playing on my heartstrings. But I like them. And it was sad to sit there and realize, like, oh, I'm not going to watch these silly things anymore because they don't publish them for the most part. And so that was, yeah, I'm a huge sap. And so, like, the super sappy... like approach is, oh, you closed Home Improvement Center. Well, maybe you shouldn't have built right next to the airport, clearly. Wow, that metro station served 612 passengers last week. That's nice. And all it does is go from here to here. Yeah, those are pollution. Yeah, so this is like my old industrial section before I could build office space. And then this is a garbage dump. And this is more garbage dumps. Which I should be building more incinerators. I don't know why I was like... Incinerators right next to the cemetery, right next to the tax office. So, you know, that's good. Okay, yeah, so is there a way to do water treatment plant? So I think all of these are actually water treatment plants. Yeah, so all of the poop that you're seeing in Poop River is after I've already, like, de-poopified it. Like, that's the cleanest it gets. So, I don't know if there's, like, another trick to that, but... what's next? Megalopolis. Gets me monuments. Wow. These plane pilots are pretty bold. Like, you know, taking off taking off before the airplane landing has even gotten to the end of the runway. They're pulling in. Like, watch this. Look. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to fly out." Like, literally an airplane took off between two like incoming airplanes. There is actually like a set of policies you can set. So like I can, like, turn on all these things now, and it'll make it slightly better. I don't really care about money, but... some high-tech housing. Heavy traffic ban. That should work well in my city. Smoking is evil. Wow! Look at how much money I'm losing now. Woo, boy. I was like, yeah, I don't have to worry about it. Look how much money I'm making. But now, like, each of these things is expensive, it turns out. That's fine. I can run at a loss like this for 1,000 weeks before I care. That's 6 million euros in free cash. Is the rocket ready? Hey, look, it's a rocket. All right. Are we ready to launch the rocket? Everybody ready? Launch rocket. Three, two, one, go! And there it goes. So is the launch a success? Oh look, there's a crawler. When I was when I visited oh yeah, no more visitors. They all came for the rocket and now they're leaving. So when I visited Cape Canaveral, I actually got to walk alongside the crawler while it was crawling. It crawls very slow, and is a giant machine. But yeah, we got to do the tour of the VAB. They were, at that point, they were shipping up ISS parts. So this was been around, I think, 96, 98. So they were still doing shuttle missions, obviously. And, yeah. Nothing, Andre. They're doing it. The next thing is they're working on the next rocket. So that was the Bluebird Heavy 1, and now they're doing the Bluebird Heavy 2. So the whole SpaceX thing is so cool. I'm disappointed that we have ceded the progress in rocket launching to billionaires rather than, you know, someone who is informed and influenced by the public good. But I am glad that someone is doing it, which was definitely not the case for a while, you know. I mean, I guess NASA has always been doing stuff, but, you know, it's underfunded and underdeveloped, and the vision has been limited because the administrations have not been super supportive, in my opinion. So to see someone out there doing something innovative and new and different is awesome. Ugh. I mean, he's got an okay vision. I think so. Some of Elon's vision is awesome. I think that the idea of lowering the cost of cost per kilogram significantly, reusing things, being able to do launch every day, all of that is awesome. You know, getting to the point where we can do construction in low Earth orbit is important. Getting off of Earth and, you know, taking advantage of, you know, the materials that are out in space that we have available. You know, looking at, I don't know, are people still looking at like doing solar power satellites? Is that like a thing people care about still, or did that just like go away? There's all kinds of things we can do in space, and I think that that's great. On the other hand, I think that Elon's vision for like Mars has flaws, because most of what Elon believes has flaws. And so while I appreciate the desire for a Mars mission, if I could pick someone else to run it, I would. Take care, Nat. Have a good one. Thanks for hanging out. Alright, should I try and improve my metro system again somehow? I'm almost to my next level, I think. I think it's 75,000. I am not almost to my next level. So where's my traffic worst? I mean, a lot of this traffic that's like marked super bad, like, yeah, it's bad, but it's moving. Well, this isn't. This is a nightmare. This whole line of traffic, like this whole line of cars is just trying to get into this one lane. Can I upgrade this road, or is it too... All the cars are now, like, in my grass divider. Oh no! My population went down because I built over them. Hello, Stingray! Welcome to the stream. Alright, everyone's moving back in. Yeah, so this whole line, I'll give that another few minutes to clear out and see how it looks afterwards. Alright, so we've got, oh, this is terrible. Got too many trains on that line. I think that I don't actually even have any stops on this line anywhere on the back half. I didn't realize that I could just do a back and forth. And so, like, I built this whole big loop just so that trains would, like... Oh, no! The problem was that with back and forth, you can't have really more than, like, 1 or 2 trains. So my goal was to get more, but it turns out that, like, everyone is still just waiting on this one station. Like, all of these people are here... What is going on here? I don't even understand this. Oh, okay. What a mess. What a mess. It was good, Stingray. It was bittersweet. It was exhausting. It was, you know, good to say goodbye to people. It's good to see people. It was sad to look at all the things that make me excited about YouTube and say goodbye to them. To realize that, you know, I will no longer be a part of this awesome thing that is YouTube. I mean, I will as a creator, and certainly there's still some things that I can understand in Google, but it's not gonna be like it is today. So that was a little bit sad, but it was good to be there. It was good to see a lot of people that I don't see very often. You know, I gave a lot of people hugs that, you know, with you know, consent. But there was a lot of you know, sad, tearful, we're gonna miss you and working with you and other stuff like that. So it was definitely a good, worthwhile trip. Glad I got a chance to go, but sad that I will be missing out on some of this most awesome stuff that we do at Google. I love working for YouTube. It has been an awesome experience. I'm glad I've had it, and I will definitely miss it. But yeah, the trip was also exhausting. You know, every day is, you know, 6 hours of doing things, and then, you know, 4 hours of drinking, and you get to the end of the day and you're just exhausted. It was kind of actually sad that, like, there's a lot of people who didn't know I was leaving. And so I was like, are you you know, I joked the entire time that, you know, YouTube had thrown a going away party for me, and they invited everyone who worked at YouTube. But some people I made the joke to, and they're like, oh, you're leaving? And I'm like, oh god, like, I emailed like 70 people and was like, pass this on, and I posted on internal social media, and I did everything else. I turned on a ton of policies. So I have enabled, like, power usage and smoking ban and education boost and everything else like that, as well as, of course, marijuana use. So all of those things combined caused me to lose money. I looked at it and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be the progressive city. I'm gonna burn the cash, and we're gonna solve it by just getting more people into the city. And so when I turned on all those policies, I was losing $54,000 a, you know, time period, and now I'm down to $16,000 a time period. So I think my approach here is working. Built some more offices for fake Elon to use. Oh, I got 3 planes at a time coming in now. Look at that. It should be. Yeah, marijuana is... The fact that marijuana is still illegal in the U.S. is ridiculous. It's the most stupid thing. And of course is as are many stupid things in the U.S. is, you know, racially biased in origin. The war on drugs and everything related to it has been a racially coded mess for forever. Is city broadband an option? It is not. No, we should have municipal broadband as an option in this town. It will improve high-tech. I guess there's a high-tech housing policy, which if you're going to have a high-tech housing policy, I would hope that you would work on a municipal broadband network, but nothing specific to that. But yeah, I'm probably going to bail and shortly. I'm getting tired. I ran through my work life story, and I've just had a long nights all week. I was actually up at 5 a.m. LA time this morning to get out here, so I know that's only 8 a.m. Boston time, but I've been getting like 5 hours of sleep, so going home. I'm already home. I'm in my office. Oh yeah, streams may be fractured. I mean, they're going to be fractured in the next couple weeks anyway, because I'm traveling cross-country, like, twice more in the next 3 weeks. But Alicia is coming home from California on Sunday, so I don't know if there will be a Monday stream. I hope there will be, but no promises. I may have to bail. In part because Alicia will be home, and I don't know exactly what we'll be doing, and in part because, she is likely to be sleeping in my office. Yeah, so I went out to LA for my current job, and then in a week and a half, I'm going to Mountain View to meet my new team. And then a week and a half after that, I'm going to VidCon for personal reasons. So, in the past, I've gone to VidCon for work, but this will be the first time I'm going to VidCon, you know, solely because I am interested as a creator in getting out there and seeing more stuff. So, yeah, that is what is going on for me. Ugh, why are you... Oh, because traffic's all backed up. Yeah, it's bad when your cops have to sit in traffic. Like, that's not a good... It's not a good scene. VidCon, VidCon, like video. It's basically the YouTuber conference, so... Alright, so what can I do about this traffic? Same question I always ask. Oh, that's probably not what I wanted to do. Okay, I need to undo what I just did. How can I do that? And yes, I know that I should not actually be working on making a metro line that works better because I just can't, but I'm gonna try anyway. And then I can take this and add a line from here to here and back. So hopefully what this will do is get some people walking in here. And so YouTube doesn't actually host VidCon. That's something that is done by, you know, Hank Green. And so I think you got to convince VidCon is a company now that was organized originally by Hank Green. And so, you know, they do whatever it makes sense for people to do, I guess. I think that China is probably not their first target audience. It's not where they're most experienced, I expect. So I want to change the color of line. What's the 7th line? Oh, line details. Okay. Yeah, so our problem here is that we've got too many cars on this green line, I think. Or I try to run everything through. They're not actually all green. Like, we got the teal line, got the purple line. We'll change this green to, I don't know, orange. This one to magenta. Okay, so now the trains are different colors, so I should actually be able to see the differences between them. Hey, I got to 75,000. Take care, Andre. Oh, this is okay. So monuments, medical center, fusion power plant. I don't know how I can actually see how to build these things. Okay, well, that's fine. Oh, there's an aquarium now. I love the aquarium. Let's find a spot to put my aquarium. I think people are going to fly in to see the aquarium. So we're going to put it right near the airport. See how much it improves everyone's mood? Just having that thing right there. I think it is reasonable to argue with that assertion, but they're the experts and I have to trust them. It's all I can do. Alright, so now the question is anybody using this line? Oh, 228 passengers a week. That's not terrible. Do we have any lines that no one is using that I should just kill? No. Interestingly, the big one is the yellow one, which is the big loop around the city. Which actually looks like it's keeping itself... It's keeping its platforms empty. So is this one. So it's got a lot of people on it, but it's keeping its platforms empty. This one is not keeping its platforms empty, but it's kind of stuck. And I don't think has room for more stops because a large number of its people are at this stop, which is already crowded. I don't know if the aquarium has stingrays. I'm going to go with yes. The aquarium does have stingrays you can pet. Let's speed this up again so we can actually see if anybody's coming in there. Oh, this has become a bit of a nightmare. I can't really do anything about it because I've trapped myself with this giant airport now. I could make this one way. I'm going to go with no, it does not have water type Pokemon. I had 4 visitors last week though, so we can tell that I'm doing really well here. But yes, for those of you who have been here all night and listened to me babble about my work experience, I'm sorry it wasn't a more coherent set of stories, but yeah, I'm gonna miss YouTube. YouTube is a company with a massive audience that has massive impact worldwide. It is someplace that I have been lucky to work with a ton of really awesome people, and I am, I'm sad. I'm sad that I will no longer be able to work there. But, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, well, so that's one of the problems is that, like, when I go and I talk to a bunch of people who just tell me that, like, they really appreciate everything I'm doing, I come back and I think I'm good at it. I don't know if that's legitimate or not. No visitors? No one wants to watch this part of the rocket building process? Fine. So now that I know a little bit more about building a city, I probably should actually start one from scratch. Like, we're getting to the point where now I've got dead people all over my city because I can't, my cemeteries aren't, my hearses aren't able to get to places to empty the dead people out. Like, that's a bad sign. Actually, this road isn't even that crowded. Why are you not... The crematorium right here. I guess there's 7 hearses in use, so... Too many people dying. Build those right in the middle of crematoriums, right in the middle of commercial centers. It's true. Yeah, I mean, in the healthcare world, clearly, I mean, our average health is still pretty high, so not too bad. We need to get more people burning their dead, though, instead of trying to cremate them. I still love the 15 people a week who come to this fishing restaurant, floating cafe, to stand on the dock where it is impossible to get to the cafe because the boats are too far down. That's classic. Alright. We can stop emptying that. We just need bigger hearses. We need hearses that can hold multiple people at once. Pretty sure that's how death care works, right? Did places just upgrade because I built crematoriums next to them? Yeah, I mean, they could die at the cemetery too. That's okay. Either way. Do cemeteries have more hearses attached to them? I feel like they might. Yeah, they have 10 instead of 7. So I've lost $1 million, but now I'm down to losing only $10,000 a week, which is a lot less than it used to be. So yeah, this road has to change. I knew that was going to happen when I built it, but then I shouldn't have built these crematoriums. So let's move these. Stack them up over here. Oh no, that's not going to work either. I want to expand that road. Just move you. Alright, let's... Thinking. Ah, whatever. Do this. Make this road bigger. Then we can move you to be based here. Although I guess the real problem here is actually this road is too narrow. We'll upgrade this as well. Hopefully that will clear out some of this backlog traffic. And it gives us a nice little area here to build into. Yeah, I mean, luckily the crematoria also help kill people, so really, you know, the pollution from them is helpful in both ways. You know, the people who are nearest the crematoriums are more likely to die, so that, you know, they'll be easy to fetch. Works great. So it's nice that the metro line that I built here actually is serving people. We're getting 500 people through a week on this. I don't know if it's going to cut down on that overall traffic volume there, but it's a few less cars, right? Alright, so what's my police coverage look like? I'll do fire coverage. Okay, so we need to build some fire safety out here. Build some more road to get to it. Oops, wrong button. I don't want to do that there. And we will build a police station right across from it. And then we will build some elementary school and a high school. Okay. And my police coverage. Yeah, I got a lot of noise pollution in a lot of places. My airport is definitely a big source of it, unsurprisingly. We got a whole set of incineration plants over here. It's interesting that so the commercial buildings are actually like office spaces aren't noisy, but commercial buildings, high density commercial is. So you see kind of my basic industrial stuff that I built first, very noisy. Of course, my stadium, my airport, a few other things. But other than that, it's just like that I've scattered commercial through everything, and that scattered commercial increases noise kind of everywhere. And then, of course, like heavy traffic, like you see through this middle section. But yes, police was what I was trying to look at. Okay, so crime rate is 5%. Our jails are fine. Oh, have I built jails? Is that a thing I've built? I have not built jails, so I don't know how our jails capacity is fine, but that's okay. We've detained 194 criminals, but got fire trucks putting out this fire over here. Got a lot of overeducated workers, but that's not the end of the world. I don't think I should decriminalize all crime. I do not agree with that. I'm happy with this. Not perfect. There's more to do. I see things like this hill bothers me because I don't really want to build up on it. Because it's hard to make, like, even by my standards of like fuck grids, it's hard to make something that I feel really happy with. So I don't know how exactly I want to handle that. But yeah, the entryways to my town are clear. Some of the main drags through here are definitely, you know, a bit rough, but we're making progress. But especially now that I know how to use, like, sketching out a design for what I actually want for a city and then implementing it might be an interesting thing to try at some point. We got people petting stingrays. We got people going to the science center. And of course, we have our ChirpX launch site. So I think that's it. And it is officially midnight here. So I guess if this was my last day is over. Yeah, I mean, I think every time I start over, I do get a little bit better. But I always think, like, oh, I've definitely got it for sure this time. And then realize that, like, nope, it's just 3 times harder than I expect it is. It's interesting to kind of see the squares of my city, right? Like, we clearly started here with the industrial separated, expanded into this, and then we got access to high density, because you can tell this whole area back here is high density. You've got your solar power. And then this was a more recent extension, which we've kind of, you know, expanded into. And you can see we've got the ChirpX site over here and the airport and so on. We see the incoming plane? I'm assuming there's one coming in. There it is. This guy was waiting on the taxiway. And we built a couple more metro lines that we're actually keeping our, you know, we're keeping things moving. We're moving 3,027 people a week through our public transit. Our weekly losses of revenue are going down as we continue to play. So, all in all, a good direction. True. But yes, happy Saturday. Have a good weekend. I hope to see everybody on Monday. If not, you know, then I won't be here on Monday. But it's been lovely to see you all. And when I come back on Monday, I will be working on the new team. So I expect that we'll have no interesting news to start with because interesting news is going to take a while to happen. Oh, okay. So the reason that Megalopolis is, that's the top level. There is no more level to go through for that. So yeah, that is why it is Megalopolis. I have no more achievements to go through. I should have bailed. I didn't realize that. Yeah. Oh. I can get a grand library by building 7 universities. But I don't need 7 universities. I've got 2 and I already don't have enough people going to them. Do need some more high schools again. Let's educate these factory workers. Alright. That's it for the night. Thank you all. Have a lovely night. I will... Oh, does anyone want to watch stuff in the lounge? I can be up for a little bit. So if we want to just watch stuff in the lounge, let me make sure it's not going to be on like a ridiculously long video.
Okay, so think back.
We're good. So hop in and hang out and watch stuff in the lounge. See you later, alligator. After a while, crocodile. Bye-bye.